Chebaro from South Florida. Welcome to my world. I thought I would head outside today because it is getting nice out here, and I thought you might like to see where I hang out. There is the pool. I don't go swimming in the winter time because the pool isn't heated, and I'm not that ambitious. I usually cycle. So I just wanted to introduce you a little bit to my world, give you a more rounded understanding of where I live and who I am. And today I want to talk about something that really has been on my mind, and that is respect. It's been sort of tumbling in and out of my thoughts for a long time. And you know, if you know my background, and there goes the light, if you know my background, I lived in the UK for a long time. Actually, I've lived in England and I've lived in Northern Ireland. And my family is there, both in Wales and in Northern Ireland. And so I have an affinity with the place. I am very much in tune with what goes on there. And so when the Queen passed this September, it really struck me. And it got me thinking about so many different things. And one of those things that popped into my mind was respect. And when I spent the entire week, I will confess, that whole week of mourning, I spent that time. Actually, I watched a lot of television. I spoke often with my family. And let me see if I can get this better. I don't know. Sorry, excuse me. I spent a lot of time watching the funeral procession, and many times I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning watching it all. But it sent home something to me. Let me just try and walk over to the sunlight. It sent something to me, showed something to me that there was so much respect shown for this woman, this queen. And in all the good that she did, whether you are a royal, if you enjoy the royal family, if you understand them, or if you're not, it just shows a great amount of respect. And the respect came from all over the world. We saw all those dignitaries fly in. And we also were privy to the long queues, the long lines of people waiting to actually see the coffin. And they spent hours upon hours waiting. And just for a few moments, a glimpse of a coffin And it taught me, it made me see something that showed respect. On those lines, all those hours, there were no problems, there was no fighting. It was just very quiet, and there was a lot of solitude. And I also thought, well, my goodness, for centuries after this, well, maybe not centuries, but decades after this will be passed on to next generations, because those children, for example, that stood in that line got a sense of the respect for this one woman and saw it all around them. And you can imagine years from now them saying, I remember when this happened, and I stood with your grandmother, for example, on the queue to watch this all. I took part in history. So that really had a great impression on me. Sure, there was respect shown to the royal family, but respect shown to each other. Fast forward the other side of the Atlantic, and I must say this has got nothing to do with one side of the Atlantic on the other side of the Atlantic. It's just my observation. But on this side of the Atlantic, something happens to me, and I didn't take notice of it until I got this idea of respect. And I live in a 3-story building. Maybe you can see it in the back. I live in a 3-story building. And there's a lift, there's an elevator, but I don't choose to take it because I like the exercise and I just walk up the stairs. But I also have to, in doing that and walking up the stairs, I have to bring up groceries. And sometimes it's 3 and 4 times up and down the stairs. There's a lot of exercise with it, and that's how I choose to think about it. But not once in all my years living in this environment has anyone said to me, Carolyn, can I help you bring up your groceries? Now, I am perfectly capable, because I have done it. I'm perfectly capable of going up those stairs, but it would have been nice for someone to offer help, because I offer help, man nor woman. And I sometimes think, well, maybe they don't approach me because they're afraid that I will be insulted. But that's a whole nother story, because that is something that we've created. I'll talk about that some other time. But it amazes me that no one offers to help me. And I think it just shows a lack of respect. Not for the fact that I am who I am, we won't go any further, but just a lack of respect for your fellow human being, just to help someone. So, and so if I take it further, that mindset, excuse the plane, I'm on the flight path to Fort Lauderdale International Airport. Let me actually, let's see, while we're waiting for this, behind me is Miss Evie's doggy park, not hers exclusively, and there's tennis courts, and now you've seen the pool. But anyway, back to what I was saying about respect. There's such a lack of respect in our world, and it's something I believe that you and I we can't change, but we can actively try and give it maybe we can change it in our own way, because we see a lack of respect all around us in the world. As I said, it's not on one side of the Atlantic and the other. We see it with Russia and Ukraine. Russia not respecting Ukraine's sovereignty to run and live in its own country. And we see the respect that the Ukrainians have for their country, because literally they're fighting for it. And we see a lack of respect here on this side of the Atlantic with the politics. Now, I'm not going to discuss politics. I'm smarter than that. However, no one on either side respects someone else's opinion. And it is, in my opinion, getting worse. And it's something that we don't even talk about, for example, amongst my friends, because it causes too much tension. No one respects anyone's thoughts, their ideas, and their mindset. It's all my way or the highway, which is very, very sad. And it just goes into so many things. We see it today with the recent climate meetings, the Europeans and the worldwide, I think it's called COPE. And we have to respect where we live. We have to respect the climate and the land, but somehow we forget that. And I know, for example, where I live in the south of Florida, there is no respect for my environment that we live in here, because there is no recycling. Everything just goes into a dump. And I only recently found out, side note, that it goes on a ship, on a tug, to China. So, but the question ultimately is, how can we change that? How can you and I change that? And I believe that respect can be changed from within us. And we have got to respect ourselves in the following ways. We have to respect our body. We have to eat correctly, and we have to exercise. We have to respect the home that we live in and keep it clutter-free and organized and, another plane. And we have to keep our environment around us organized and decluttered so that we can think properly. We have to respect the work that we put into building a home and getting where we are. We have to respect everything that we own and everything that we do, we have to respect our mind. And we have to understand that in order to grow, we have to educate ourselves. Not necessarily going to school, but we have to be open to certain thoughts and ideas, i.e. stemmed back to the politics idea. And then finally, we also have to respect our neighbors. And we have to respect that we are all different, but at the end of the day, we are all the same. We all have blood running through our bodies. We all have, trials and tribulations, and we each can deal with them in different ways, or we should deal with them in certain ways. And what is right for me might not be right for you. And it is a respect that we have to garnish to others around us. And I believe that once we, as a world, gain that sense of respect back, then things begin and can change. That we can live a life of peace and tranquility without all this tension, because you and I know that the tension is really, really palatable, sadly, in the world today. And I hope that message was received well. That was its intention, and my hand now is starting to shake because my device wouldn't work. So I wish that's the end of this week's message. I am going to address other questions that I've been asked before in the thread, so please keep them coming. I do read them all and take note of them all. And that's me. That's a wrap. I wish everyone a good day. Please put your comments below. I would love to know your thoughts on this. And until we meet again, stay well, ladies. Stay well. Toodles.